The stories you are about to see are real. The rewards up to $5 million are real. This is Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous, the criminals don't. And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Due to the recent shooting at Payne College supposedly being caused by counterfeit money moving into a drug turf, let's take a look at how to spot counterfeit money. First, before we get into the nitty-gritty, it's important to remember to look at your money. If you see anything suspicious, then move on to the next steps. Compare your money with other bills. Observe the portrait. Observe the seals. Examine the border. Make sure the serial numbers are not matching on two separate bills. And finally, feel the paper, especially the printing will be raised printing that cannot be reproduced. If you see any of these counterfeit bills, which there are millions and millions and millions of them flooding in, please call Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or text or email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your money. Richmond County Sheriff's deputies say that 25-year-old Shane Brock was shot in the face in a shooting on 3rd and Broad Street Saturday night. Police say 29-year-old Levi Frank Jr. is the lead suspect suspected of shooting Brock in the face outside of a Broad Street apartment complex. A deputy reported hearing a gunshot while on Broad Street and then saw the victim running to him. One witness says he saw 3 black males running. 2 went to the left and another to the right towards Broad Street. If you think you know where 29-year-old Levi Frank Jr. may be, or any of the other shooters may be, please call Captain Calvin Chu at 706-821-1080, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unshot. Columbia County Sheriff's deputies report that these 2 black males performed numerous fraudulent credit card transactions on April 18th throughout Columbia and Richmond County. They used fraudulent credit cards at the Target in Evans, Walgreens stores in Martinez and Evans, and the Walmarts in Evans and Martinez. If you have money in any banks, you may want to look carefully at your bank statements to see if any of this money was taken out of your account. When credit card thieves use debit cards and such to steal money, it comes out of victims' accounts without them knowing. If you don't alert your bank within a certain amount of time of receiving your bank statement, you lose your money. Know who they are? Then please call Captain Steve Morris of the Columbia County Sheriff's Office at 706-541-2800, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email or text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your money.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
The father of DeKalb County man apprehended after a shooting at Payne College said his son, Xavier DeAnthony Cooper, a 20-year-old sophomore business major from DeKalb, had received threats on his life from Payne College students since January. About 1 p.m. Monday, 21-year-old John Baker of Wilmington, North Carolina, was shot inside a building at Payne College. That shooting, the second in 2 days at the school, prompted hours-long lockdowns at both Payne College and nearby Georgia Regents University, the site of the Medical College of Georgia. Xavier DeAnthony Cooper, a 20-year-old sophomore business major, was taken into custody after authorities found him in a Payne College dorm. Xavier Cooper is being held on several charges, including aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, and possession of a firearm on school building grounds or function. The father of the shooting suspect, Anthony Cooper, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that his son was not involved in the first shooting at Payne College, although investigators say they believe Monday's shooting was related to the first one on Sunday, which means there may be others involved in the shooting other than just Cooper. Mr. Cooper, the suspected shooter's father, says his son was home Sunday and went back to school. Now they're trying to link him to that shooting, he said. He said Xavier is a graduate of Cedar Grove High School near Lithonia. Since the beginning of the semester, Anthony Cooper said his son has remained in fear for his life because of threats from locals who have developed a beef with some of the Atlanta students, probably because they get drugs cheaper in Atlanta and sell them for higher in Augusta. These boys were coming to their dorm rooms and saying they were going to kill him. He said the group of men who threatened his son believed Xavier Cooper and his friends were moving in on their drug turf. Asked about the Monday shooting, the father said he didn't know if his son was responsible, but acknowledged that he had been in fights with some Payne College students before and was trying to protect himself. "I don't even know if he had a gun or how he got it," Anthony Cooper said. "All I know is that he had been protecting himself with a steel pipe." He said he and his wife had been in constant contact with school officials since their son began having fights at the school. This statement by the father reveals the school did know fights were happening at the school and students were endangered, but covered it up. A background check on Xavier DeAnthony Cooper showed the shooting suspect has multiple violent offenses on his record that the college had to have known about. So what they did was they got that federal money and brought a dangerous, violent criminal to Augusta. In 2011, Cooper faced charges including simple battery and affray fighting. A month later, he was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor and loitering. In June of 2012, Cooper faced criminal damage to property charges. This past December, Cooper was booked in the Fulton County Jail for possession and use of drug-related objects. The college allowed a violent felon out on bond to use tax money to hide out in Augusta and didn't tell students so the college could make more money. Officials are still investigating a connection between the two shootings at Payne College, but they claim Monday's shooting was an isolated event between two students, and students will be able to attend class Tuesday. Payne College said right now its main focus is making sure students are and feel safe. Brown went on to say, "We were able to secure and lock down the campus in a very fast moment. Crime reports would like to point out that when students are not allowed to escape shooters or possible bombers, all lockdowns do is increase the death toll should more shooting occur or someone sets off a bomb." Some are saying the lack of security at Payne College is a concern not just for students and parents, but for those living nearby. It's something the entire community is talking about. Minnesota Fats, a local radio host and community activist, says there's a lack of a security issue going on there, and parents are concerned, students are concerned, and we just need to fix it. We're trying to do a threat assessment to see if there's the threat of potential shooters out there. We have to err on the side of caution. Now the investigation has expanded even further. Investigators are trying to tie another shooting that happened off campus Monday on Laurel Street to the violence at Payne College. Willie Trice lives on Laurel Street and witnessed a drive-by shooting there Monday. "We observed a trailblazer coming from that end of the street at snail's pace, and she, my neighbor, was just showing me where she had gotten grazed Sunday night from a bullet, and as soon as she dropped her shirt, there was more bullets ringing out from everywhere. So we all dropped to the ground, Trice said. Trice says there was a 5-year-old in the front yard when the bullets started flying. When I got up from the ground, I just knew I was going to see this baby laying out in the yard, and that was going to be the most frightening part. When I found out the baby wasn't injured, I was more worried about the child than myself. Laurel Street is an older neighborhood, but one new thing about this area you'll notice is all the for sale and for lease signs popping up. I'm watching my neighbors every day. New neighbors are putting their houses up for sale and moving out. Yesterday this moving truck appeared. This lady, she's getting out. He's just hoping investigators can put all the pieces together and stop the violence before someone gets killed. There's a lot of unknowns right now to see how deep the situation goes and how many people are involved, the sheriff explained. Richmond County Sheriff Richard Roundtree said investigators aren't sure if the search for Payne College shooting suspects is over. Roundtree says the suspect in custody is a student, even though the school denied it was a student who did the shooting at first. School administrators, fearing more for money than losing lives, told everyone after Sunday's shooting that the school was safe. Then Monday, bullets began flying again. Investigators don't know if there are multiple shooters nor if the man in jail, Xavier Cooper, is the main and only shooter, Sheriff Roundtree said. The sheriff also said they believe the two shootings, Sundays and Mondays at Payne College, are connected, which is why crime reports believe they've discovered crime gang activity. The investigation shows this incident stems back from an argument from 2 weeks ago. The Payne College victim is in critical condition as of noon on Tuesday, Sheriff Roundtree said. This has the potential to be a national story, Roundtree said. We don't want that. Nobody wants to be that story. Payne College police and the sheriff's office do not even have radio communication. Payne has to call 911 just like everyone else, and they're working to change that. Sheriff Roundtree said, in a city our size, that's unfathomable. We're actually loaning Payne College 10 of our radios so they can have direct communication with us until this incident is resolved.
Consider this an invitation to my gangster nation.
These Payne College shootings may very well be drug-related because South Carolina is one of the leading states in the country for drug gangs. And with the I-20 between Columbia and Atlanta puts Augusta at a prime location. Here's a special report on drug gangs in South Carolina.
This is South Carolina, also called the Palmetto State. South Carolina is mostly known for its beautiful places and smiling faces.
The smiling faces and beautiful places of South Carolina,
I'm totally shocked.
now is also one of the states leading the nation in crime.
South Carolina has another side, a darker side, filled with Crips,
East Coast low like Crip,
Bloods, gangster disciples,
All day, baby. IGD 974, run and tell that.
drugs, and even murder.
Third most dangerous state in the union and number 1 in assaults.
You've got assaults, you've got domestic violence, you've got hot tempers, you got people living on the edge, you've got people not thinking clearly, and they just commit, my favorite word, stupidness.
Take a look at where we fall for all violent crimes according to a new national crime study. 4th in burglaries, 5th in murders, 10th in rape, and 15th in robbery. But why?
it's do or die down here.
To fully understand why South Carolina is so full of crime, you have to narrow it down to 4 major factors. The first factor is education.
I know South Carolina has the worst high school dropout rate in America.
The second factor is unemployment.
Roughly 1 out of every 10 people in South Carolina is out of work. As it turns out, the state could be missing out on millions of dollars in unemployment benefits.
The state's jobless rate reached a record high last December, giving South Carolina the 4th highest jobless rate in the U.S.
The third factor is poverty.
When you bring the economy into factor, unemployment rate, then things are going to increase. Burglaries are going to happen, thefts, auto thefts, a lot of things will develop because these people have to feed their family.
The fourth and last factor is drugs.
South Carolina came in as the 3rd most dangerous state. We ranked 1st in assaults. Crime experts say our increasing drug and gang problem, along with a high unemployment rate, have pushed us up the list.
Because more people are at home, because they're unemployed, because people have families they have to feed, they are looking for other alternatives.
Crackers give a nigga no trust when they don't give him no job.
I mean, you got a lot of people that got charges.
I've been in the county like 13 times.
You know, they can't really get certain jobs. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that ain't graduated from high school yet. There's a lot of people that don't even look about even going to college. So their goals is way more different. You know what I'm saying? You might be trying to look for a job. They might be trying to look for that work. I mean, then if you ain't got the money to get that work, then you messed up. Because, I mean, you can't get no jobs, so where your money gonna come from?
In 2008 to 2009, South Carolina spent nearly $38 million against the war on drugs. Despite drug raids, drug kingpins still flourish. It is common practice to receive drug shipments by trucks, FedEx, and sometimes UPS.
State Law Enforcement Division raided this house in Richland County and found block after block of marijuana. Some in this bedroom and its closet. More in another bedroom. Its closet stacked floor to ceiling. In the kitchen, they found a kilo of cocaine and more pot, along with garbage bags full in another room in the house. This all started with an arrest Wednesday in Greenville. That led investigators to this house in Richland County. They arrested one armed man inside and found the drugs. Their search led them to 2 other houses where they found cash. 4 gym bags full of cash. SLED doesn't even know yet how much, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're also not sure yet how much marijuana they found, but estimate it's more than 1 ton.
Celso and his network got their drugs into the city by using 18-wheelers. They used interstates such as I-20, I-26, and I-95. These 3 interstates are major drug trafficking interstates in the state of South Carolina. I-20 connects South Carolina to Atlanta, and I-95 stretches from Florida to South Carolina all the way to Maine. In 2010, Celso's reign had ended. When authorities got him, they caught him with over $1 million in cash, 2 pounds of cocaine, and over 2,000 pounds of marijuana. At $1,000 a piece, the street value can go up to over $20 million.
Today was kind of the fun day. We got the cash, we got the bad guy, we got the guns, we got the dope.
Now, he says, the hard work begins of trying to find out how far this extends and who's involved. So far, they've arrested 2 men, the one in Greenville during the traffic stop and the one at this house. But investigators say they're not the kingpins.
This is a major operation. This demonstrates the amount of drugs that are coming in from Mexico.
He was the son-in-law of Atlanta Mayor Shirley Franklin. His mother-in-law could have never imagined her son-in-law had shipped over 1,000 kilos of cocaine into the United States. Authorities say he was among the leaders of the largest and most organized drug organization in South Carolina history. According to the DEA, evidence was linked to Graham personally supplying over 500 kilos of cocaine, with the street value close to $10 million. Because of September 11th, security was heavy on the borders, which forced a reroute of cocaine that was being shipped from Colombia, South America to Columbia, South Carolina. After the terrorist attacks, cocaine shipments from South America now had to go through Mexico, and then Atlanta, and then South Carolina. The Mexican cartels wanted the same power Colombians had and were willing to kill.
More deadly violence tonight in Mexico's raging drug wars, and new concerns about the violence spreading through this country as Mexico's warring drug cartels extend operations into the United States. Casey Wyan has our report.
From a shootout between two rival drug cartels in Culiacan, capital of Mexico's Sinaloa state, to the assassination of a state police officer and subsequent hostage standoff in the tourist haven of Mazatlan. At least 21 people have been gunned down since Thursday in Sinaloa. One local paper called it a bloodbath. And there's mounting evidence Mexico's drug cartels are spreading throughout the United States. The National Drug Intelligence Center reported this spring the cartels now operate in at least 195 U.S. cities. The report states that Mexican drug trafficking organizations are the most pervasive organizational threat to the United States. They are active in every region of the country and dominate the illicit drug trade in every area except the Northeast.
It started out in Mexico, then to California, then to Atlanta, and finally to smaller dealers in Greenville, South Carolina. Anderson is a rest haven for drug dealers because it is located 2 hours between Atlanta and Charlotte.
We was doing our little thing, you know what I mean? We had 3 neighborhoods on Smash, you know what I mean? We had this one, that's the woods over there, you know what I mean? We had Harbor Landing over here. We basically had all the fiends from any area, you know what I mean? From a whole bunch of areas coming straight over there to the spot.
I had a big screen, I had all the trappings, and what I did was I had cameras and stuff out, but let me just say this, when it got down to it, I wanted to get out of it, because before I knew it, I don't want to talk about weight, but there was so many customers coming through, I could not morally accept the fact that I couldn't make money at it. I couldn't give it away enough. I couldn't keep enough women, and I started feeling bad about the things I was doing to the women and myself. Next thing, so what happened was the police sent, confidential informants in, and they did a series of buys from me, and that's what happened. After that, they had a reason for a search warrant, and they just came in, kicked the doors in, and the rest is history.
The common denominator in every case is money, greed, and prison.
If you have any information on these drug gangs or any other drug gang, call the Crime Stoppers National Tip Line at 1-800-222-TIPS, where you may remain anonymous and get a cash reward.
Richmond County investigators are currently seeking Christopher Jackson as a person of interest in the Sunday shooting incident at Payne College. Jackson's whereabouts are currently unknown. Jackson is believed to be in the company of his girlfriend, Ulot Young, and also may possibly be driving Ms. Young's 1999 Ford Crown Victoria, light tan or golden color, bearing Georgia tag BRX 8779. This car may also now have a paper tag due to police looking for BRX 8779 tag. Christopher Jackson is a 26-year-old black male and is described as being 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighs about 150 pounds. Sheriff Richard Roundtree announced a $2,000 reward, which Crime Stoppers immediately matched for a total cash reward of up to $4,000 for information leading to any of the other up to dozens of suspects involved in what may be a regional gang war spilling onto Payne College. Anyone with information on Jackson's whereabouts is asked to contact the Richmond County Sheriff's Office at 706-821-1080. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS. Or email or text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unshot.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Now for some notable arrests by the human hound dogs who worked with Lieutenant Robbie Silas and two private citizens to bust some home invaders on Young Forest Drive. On May 1st, at approximately 13:04 hours, dispatch received a call from a concerned citizen in reference to a burglary in progress at 1304 Kings Grant Drive. Officers from 3 divisions responded to the area. Deputy Robert Ederly was the first officer to arrive at the incident location, and upon his arrival, he immediately put out a description, a good one at that, of the suspects and the vehicle. Corporal Bernie Harden and Deputy Terry Skinner, while canvassing the Young Forest Drive area, observed the vehicle and suspects hiding behind a vacant residence. Upon seeing the officers, the suspects fled in the vehicle and led the 2 officers on a brief car chase. As the vehicle rounded a curve, the driver lost control of the vehicle and became disabled after striking a tree and a fence. The suspects then fled on foot in different directions. Other officers responded to the scene and set up a perimeter, and all 3 suspects were taken into custody. They also had the help of the private citizens who held one of the suspects at gunpoint as officers closed in on him. After all 3 suspects were captured, it was learned that 2 of the suspects were wanted for 2 possible home invasions in this county. Other officers who assisted are Sergeant Darrell Grooms, Corporal Melissa E. West, Deputy Rachel Harden, Deputy Jason Singletary, Deputy Charles Gunn, Deputy Philip Barnett, and Lieutenant Robbie Silas. The 2 private citizens were Jimmy Barnes and Jesse Chastain, who both played a role in the apprehension of all 3 suspects. And now here's the award version for citizens Mr. Jimmy Barnes and Mr. Jesse Chastain, who's in the picture. On May 1st, at approximately 13:04 hours, dispatch received a call from Mr. Jimmy Barnes. Mr. Barnes observed 3 suspects breaking into his neighbor's house. He immediately called dispatch, and within minutes, officers were on the scene. Upon our officer's arrival, he was able to get a very good description of the suspects and their vehicle. Within minutes, officers located the vehicle, and the suspects parked next to another residence just a few streets over, where they probably were getting ready to commit another burglary. Upon seeing the officers, the suspects fled in the vehicle, leading officers on a vehicle pursuit. The pursuit ended when the driver of the suspect vehicle crashed. The suspects then fled on foot and went in separate directions. After setting up a perimeter with other officers, another citizen, Jesse Chastain, saw what was going on and assisted us by holding one of the suspects at gunpoint as officers closed in on him. All 3 suspects were captured and charged with burglary. 2 of the suspects were already being sought for 2 previous home invasions. Without the help of these 2 citizens, the 3 suspects would probably still be at large, committing crimes and more home invasions in our community. Because of your decision to call and the details you provided to the 911 operator, 3 suspects were apprehended and charged in this incident. The actions of all those involved are being commended.
You've been watching Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous. The criminals don't. If you have any information on these or any other crimes, call our national tip line at 1-800-222-TIPS. Well, you'll stay anonymous and could get a cash reward. You can see this or any other episode of Crime Reports and Rewards on the web anytime at crimereportsandrewards.com. Crime Reports and Rewards is a production of Michaels Media.